Being with you all today. I want to start off a little bit differently before I get into some background information and share some big news about three people that have endorsed me for my run for county commissioner. I have received endorsement of Jeff Turner, Russ Meyer, and Lynn Nichols. I share these three outstanding individuals with you not because they are leaders in our community, not because they have recognizable names that obviously a lot of people can associate with. I share these great names with you because these are leaders that are building companies or have built companies in this community that are still building planes in our community and still adding jobs, and that's the kind of leadership we need today. We need people that were going to fight for jobs for Wichitans, and that's why those three outstanding individuals have endorsed my run for county commissioner. I do want to endorse one. I do want to acknowledge one special person here today because she makes me look good. My wife, it'll be 32 years later this year. When we talk about those things that make us the happiest and the things that make us the most proud, I will get into a little bit of background about my efforts in helping our community, but what truly makes my wife and I the most proud is we're blessed with such a great family. We have three children, one daughter who is a para-educator out at Mays, and we have twin boys who have graduated at Wichita State. One is an aerospace engineer working for NIAR in this community. The other is a high school science teacher that's getting married later this year, and we're thrilled to death that we have been blessed with great kids that understand what hard work and education and dedication will do for your lives. We have a granddaughter. I share with people all the time we have the smartest granddaughter in the world. She's 2.5 years old and speaks in full sentences, so we feel truly blessed. A little bit of background I want to share with you. I've been in this community for a long time, born and raised here. I served 12 years on the Mays School Board, and during that time on the Mays School Board, proud to say that we grew that district from about 3,000 students to 6,000 students. And even with that unbelievable growth, we were able to put money in the classrooms, unprecedented money in the classrooms, and many years lower mill levy. It's one of the most competitive districts in terms of the mill levy as you'll find in any of the suburban districts, and it had a great reputation. Part of that reputation is probably what helped West Wichita grow, and certainly that's what helped get me into the city council position. During that tenure, I met City Council member Bob Martins. Love him to death. He encouraged me to run for this position. Bob, in our first meeting, I shared, Bob, I'd like to invite you out to Mays. We have a special dedication. We'd like to have you come out, maybe say a few words. And Bob looked at me and goes, Jeff, he goes, I'd love to. He goes, my schedule's kind of packed. He goes, but I've got a lot of activities in my district that I need to worry about right now. And I said, Bob, you need to understand that about 91% of the students that go to Mays schools live in West Wichita. He said, what time was I supposed to be there? So, I love his support and his dedication to the community. Really got me started in my city politics. I've been on the city council for 5 years and served as vice mayor. One of the things that I'm very proud of is some of the changes that we've made in those 5 years. We have been able to live within our budget in the worst of economic times by making some changes in the way we do business. We haven't had to draw from our reserves, and we haven't had to raise the mill levy in tough economic times to meet our budget demands. One of the things that I was offered when I first got into office is I toured City Hall. In the basement of City Hall, and I've been in the graphics business for about 30 years. Forgot to mention that I'm a business owner. I helped build a small company, worked there about 23 years. When I started, we had about 3 or 4 employees. When I left there, we had roughly 75 employees, so pretty proud of building a small business into something special right here in Wichita. Ultimately, it ended up moving, got sold to Texas after I left the company. But I toured the basement of City Hall, and we had a printing operation. We had antiquated equipment. My guess is the people probably weren't trained the way the industry needed to train them. And I shared with my colleagues, that is not the most efficient way to do things. Government doesn't need to be doing all things, and convince them that we can farm out that operation, privatize it, send it to local printers, and to date we've saved about $500,000. That's the kinds of things that help us meet our budgetary demands. We, a couple of years ago, ended up privatizing all of our mowing of our green spaces. The city has a lot of green spaces, right-of-ways, parks, and there was a lot of controversy. In fact, some people filled up City Hall complaining to us not to eliminate those jobs. We ended up privatizing that operation, stayed on the same mowing schedule, and we saved $1 million annually by letting the private community deliver those services instead of government deliver those services. Folks, those are the kinds of things that we need to do to make sure that we can streamline government. We have condensed some of our departments at City Hall. Today, we have fewer employees at City Hall than we had 5 years ago when I first got elected. And we're still delivering services, I'll argue in some cases, even better. Need to wrap up. I was hoping I'd have part of Karl's time. The key to, as I said, streamlining government is making tough choices, sometimes really hard choices where some people have fought against because their particular government job was one that was getting eliminated. But at the end of the day, I think they'll be better served, we'll all be better served by streamlining government, privatizing some of those operations, and I'm proud of the 17 years I've spent in various forms of government, the record that I have. Hopefully we'll get into some more of this dialogue, and you too will come to understand why those three tremendous individuals endorsed me in this last week, and I hope that many of you will too. Thank you.
I also have some endorsement announcements. It's been actually a remarkable 24 hours for the Peterjohn for County Commissioner campaign. Yesterday I was truly privileged and honored to receive the endorsement of former Congressman Todd Tier. And I am going to be doing what I can to make sure that the voters not only know about this endorsement, but also found out a little later, and I'm very proud as a pro-life adoptive parent that I received the endorsement of Kansans for Life. Let me begin by talking a little bit about myself and my background. I'm married a little over 21 years. We've got 2 kids. Back in the 1960s, I was involved with the Boy Scouts, became an Eagle Scout, and last summer I took my son out to the Cub Scout camp, and boy, scouting's changed a little bit in 50 years in some ways, and it's a challenge. Now, I want to point out some differences. I graduated from Ohio University with dual majors in economics and government. I've got a master's degree in economics. I served as a budget analyst in the state of California from 1973 to 1975. I was joking what I like to say it was 2 weeks under Ronald Reagan and 2 weeks under Jerry Brown. I share that because when I left California, Jerry Brown was governor, and sort of like the Hotel California, look at them today. Jerry Brown's still governor, and what a mess they're in. But when I came to Wichita, shortly after I came here, I ended up going to work for a company, NCR, and was involved as a quality engineer. Not only traveled all over this country, but I traveled around the world. And so I have international business experience that I think is very valuable in the current position I have. For 16 years, from 1993 till I became a commissioner, I was the executive director for the Kansas Taxpayers Network, fought against raising taxes on a variety of locations, helped keep Sedgwick County under the state statutory property tax lid back in 1997, worked with a number of legislators, including leaders like then House Speaker Tim Schellenberger, Susan Wagle, Phil Klein, and we managed to get legislation passed, which was signed into law to lower the statewide mill levy from 36.5 down to 21.5 mills. We also managed to eliminate one of the big anti-business personal property taxes in the state. We got an exemption in place that's been gradually increased, and in 2006 went much broader in terms of impacting and reducing business taxes going forward for business personal property acquired after July 1st, 2000, I believe it was 2006 or 2007. I've also served on a variety of boards. I'll mention a couple here. I was Wichita CPO, that was the predecessor to the DAB boards. I served on 2 of those. 8 years I was on the Wichita Library Board, where I was chaired the Finance Committee and also was Secretary and Treasurer of the board. One of my proud accomplishments that I have to share was I am Precinct Committeeman for Precinct 522, which is out in western Sedgwick County. And in 2006, despite the fact that the Republican candidate for governor lost to then Governor Sebelius rather badly statewide, he carried my precinct with over 60% of the vote. And so I take credit for that. Now I'm going to talk just a second, just for a little bit about my role since I've had the privilege of being on the county commission. And the county mill levy is lower today than it was when I took office, unlike my city mill levy, which has grown, albeit fractionally. And that's one of the reasons I voted against our budget last year, was because it had a fractional increase. But my city property taxes went up 4/10 of a mil since 2007. And I share that because it's easy when you get into government for people to say, well, we don't actually set the mill levy, we set a budget, and then the mill levy gets adjusted. Well, I said, hey, I don't want the mill levy going up. And I'm continuing to fight for that. I would point out the fact that Sedgwick County credit rating is not only higher than all the other local units in this county, but according to all 3 rating agencies, Moody's, Standard & Poor's, and Fitch, it is higher than the federal government's. Now, one of the accomplishments we've done since I've been on the commission, and I'm absolutely delighted, you can go on the Sedgwick County website and get our county checkbook. It's completely open. If you want detailed financial information about anything and everything, it is out there. And the state has been working towards doing this. I would hope that the other governmental bodies in Kansas would follow Sedgwick County in doing so. Now, one of the big challenges we've had has been jail overcrowding. And shortly after I became a commissioner, in October 2009, that was our worst month. We'd have days where we had over 1,750 people who were in the Sedgwick County Jail. And as of today, because of programs like pretrial services and eliminating the free rider problem that had existed, population in the Sedgwick County Jail is 1,464 as of this morning. Now, we've done this at a time of unprecedented economic difficulties and challenges. The economy is struggling. We all know that. The employment news that came out this morning was once again bad. Here in Sedgwick County, the challenge we've had is taxable assessed value has not grown. In fact, a little bit of good news you might have enjoyed is that 70% of the homes in Sedgwick County actually had a slight reduction. Now, I'm going to point out a couple of points where I'm working for and continue to fight, but I want to also state I have not taken any pay raises, will not take any pay raises unless I campaign on it, and I'm not campaigning on taking any pay raises. No property tax hike increases without voter approval. I've been working for that. Works with sales taxes, why not for other taxes? We need to catch up with our neighboring states. We need to create a positive government environment with lowers the risk, creates more certainty and a stronger rule of law. Try and work on asset sales and see where we can generate more revenue through energy option. I oppose wasteful federal grants, including the HUD EPA sustainability grants. I support Representative Pompeo's effort to give local units the option to return grants and have it used to lower the deficit. I opposed TIF subsidy districts, And I was also a petitioner against the Ambassador Hotel. And I have one area of frustration I was going to share, but maybe I'll save that for my closing remarks or the question period. Thank you.